So when you think of Slavic folklore, your mind probably jumps straight to the Leshy, right? This spooky, wild-haired spirit hiding out in the woods, maybe a monster story to scare kids. But what if that's not even half the story? What if the Leshy is something way more complex?
Because that's what we're going to do in this explainer. We're going to challenge that classic image. We're going to look at the Leshy not as some beast, but as something a lot closer to a forest ranger, a judge, maybe even a sovereign ruler. See, the sources paint a totally different picture. They show the Leshy not as a random monster, but as a really complex agent of, get this, environmental governance and social control. It's the enforcer of a sophisticated, unwritten legal code, what we're going to call the law of the wild.
Okay, so let's dig into this. The Leshy's power, it isn't just random or evil. It actually comes from enforcing a super strict, unwritten set of rules, a constitution, really, for anyone who steps foot into its domain. And this, let's call it a forest constitution. It's really built on three core ideas, three mandates that anyone who steps into the woods has to follow, whether they realize it or not. Let's break them down. All right, first up, sustainable use. The rule is simple and crystal clear. Take only what is necessary. And look, this goes way beyond just chopping down trees. It's a flat-out ban on greed. The forest isn't some warehouse full of stuff for the taking. It's a living system, and the Leshy will punish anyone who takes more than their fair share. Next up, reciprocity. Think of it like this. There's no free pass to the forest. If you want to use its resources, you gotta pay a kind of symbolic tax. Leaving little offerings of bread or salt isn't just some old superstition. It's a real economic exchange. It's how you acknowledge that the Leshy is the rightful host here and you're just a guest. And the third rule? Humility. You can't just stomp in there, singing loud, obnoxious songs, bragging about how great a hunter you are. Nope. All that stuff is forbidden. The Leshy's whole system works by taking human arrogance down a peg. It's a powerful reminder. In these woods, you are not the master. So you're probably thinking, okay, great rules, but how does the spirit actually enforce them? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. These aren't just suggestions. They're backed up by a whole judicial system, and it all starts with the Leshy's clear symbols of authority. I mean, just look at how it's described. Its physical form is basically a statement of its power. The fact that it can grow taller than the trees or shrink down to the size of grass, that shows its total command over the forest. And its weird inverted clothes and lack of a shadow, those aren't just quirky little details. They're jurisdictional markers. They basically scream, you are in a different realm now. This slide really nails the whole idea. It shows the clear boundary the Leshy enforces. You've got the village, the baptized world, with all its human laws and predictable physics. And then you've got the forest, the other world, where logic gets turned on its head and you are no longer safe. You're a vulnerable guest. So what happens when someone breaks one of these laws? Well, the Leshy has a primary punishment, a legal sanction called blood. And trust me, this is way more than just getting a little lost. The Leshy literally manipulates the world around you, turning the forest into an inescapable maze where you just walk in circles. It's pure psychological warfare. And what's so clever is that the punishment perfectly mirrors the crime. You're the human who walked in all arrogant, thinking you could master the woods. Well, now you're going to be made to feel utterly lost, powerless, and tiny. The Leshy might even mimic the voices of your family to lure you deeper into the confusion. But here's the kicker. There's actually an escape clause. There's a way out. To break the curse, you have to perform a bit of what they call sympathetic magic. You have to turn your clothes inside out, switch your shoes to the opposite feet. It's a symbolic act of complete and total submission. By making yourself look reversed, like the Leshy, you're finally admitting that you're not in charge. Okay, so to really see this whole legal system, the laws, the punishments, even the chance for a pardon in action, we can look at two classic stories. They're like case studies, really. Ivan the transgressor versus Marfa the compliant citizen. And this chart just lays it all out so clearly, doesn't it? You see the two totally different paths. On one side, you have Ivan. He marches in full of arrogance, breaking saplings, scaring animals, basically committing ecological sins. The verdict? He wanders, tormented for 3 days. But then you have Marfa. She comes in with humility, pays her tax, and what happens? She's rewarded. The Leshy actually protects her with a wall of wolves and leads her right to what she needs. But Ivan's punishment isn't just about him. No, his fate serves a much bigger purpose for the community. When he finally stumbles back to the village, all gray-haired and traumatized, he becomes a living legal precedent. He's a walking, talking warning to everyone else. This is what happens when you break the law of the wild. So, when you put it all together, the Leshy is so much more than just a scary monster in the woods. It's this incredible, timeless archetype of ecological guardianship. It basically personifies a pre-modern legal system where nature isn't just a resource, but a sovereign entity with a ruler who demands respect.
You know, we might not believe in forest spirits anymore, but those core principles, sustainable use, reciprocity, humility, they've never been more relevant, right? It kind of makes you wonder, and this is the question I want to leave you with. What unwritten laws of the wild do you think we still have to answer to today?